Hi, this is Elizabeth Boltman, and I'm reflecting on why I find online blended learning useful as part of Berk's pilot online learning initiative. So I'm starting here with what I considered the problem that I could address with blended learning. Homework, particularly in English classes, can be wasted time. The nuances of a lesson involving grammar and writing techniques can often be lost in the distraction-filled climate in which a lot of students complete their homework. And the result can be shoddy homework, shoddy writing of less quality than what students can produce in class when I'm there to keep them on task and I'm circulating and so on. So the fix the hypothetical fix was to create videos on regularly called upon techniques and skills that refresh and review the content that I want students to have very front in their minds and therefore assist and improve the way they complete their homework. Um, from the one video I used already this year, the feedback I got from students, two of the praiseworthy pieces of feedback were, it's like having you coach us through our homework. I watched it twice, and other sort of like finding it amusing and helpful kind of responses. My long-term hopes as I initiate it more fully next year, as I spend the summer creating more and more videos, is that it will give struggling students a ready-made place to go to review before a quiz or for a homework assignment. Students that really need reinforcement of what we've talked about in class can use the videos. It prepares students for what will happen in class, makes the purpose of homework clearer and more useful, um, frees up time for more advanced practice in class, not that initial practice that they'll already have done at home, but a higher level practice where I can expect more of them, expect more both of their homework and of the practice that we do in class. And it lets students pace themselves according to their learning needs. They can, this is something we talked about a lot in our online learning meetings, that blended learning really allows students who need more help to review without holding the whole class back or feeling embarrassed about asking for more help in class. And then an overview of the things I like about online learning before I show you a brief sort of fast-forwarded version of one of the grammar videos I've made, is that it allows you to simplify things, because when you're presenting a video to students that they're going to watch, not in a classroom setting, like a recorded packaged thing, it really requires that you know exactly what you're saying and are very direct and explicit in your instructions. You get to sort of reflect on your teaching and figure out ways in which it's too complicated and unclear and fix those, because then you're going to have to be, okay with this video that you've created. It allows you to track and preserve lessons in a way that's better than just a Word document that had your lesson plan on it, because it actually is a lesson in itself. It has more life to it if you have students watch the video than just handing them a piece of paper that has notes on it. Um, Videos give brief, concentrated review and examples for homework guidance and instruction. It's like a better version of notes, kind of like the tracking lessons above, makes homework more valuable. And it's particularly useful for humanities teachers in that it gives you time to model the writing process. The videos really lend themselves to that and to model note taking. All right, so I'm going to give an accelerated version of the first grammar video that I made. So now I'm going to pretend that I'm in the world of my students. Now I'm going to speak as if I'm speaking in the video to my students. So hello, welcome to Grammar Video 1. This is the most fundamental of the grammar videos. It handles binding subject and verb and independent clauses and compound subject, compound verb, and compound sentence. So first, because this matters, why matters, I have 4 reasons to remind you guys why we need to care a whole lot about finding subject and verb in independent clauses. First reason, correct writing requires sentences to have at least one independent clause. So we start with independent clauses and their subjects and verbs. So in other words, independent clauses are necessary. to correct grammatical writing. Independent clauses are actually all you need to form correct sentences. So again, we start with them. They're necessary. You need to know what they are to be able to manipulate them. You have to be able to find them and know them. And manipulating your writing, manipulating your independent clauses is a very useful step in improving your writing. It's the first and most important step. You've got to get it right before you can move on. All right, so some guidelines for finding subject and verb in independent clauses. The subject will very often come at the start of the sentence, and the verb will very often be the next thing in the sentence. For instance, the dog carried the stuffed goose. The dog is our subject, carried is the verb. Number 2, the subject and verb can be separated by 2 commas, and rather often they are. This is when you have a different, an intervening phrase or clause in the sentence. So the dog, who was black, carried the stuffed goose. If you stripped the sentence down to just the subject and verb, removing all other words, they would conjugate together correctly and make sense, even if the sentence would then seem a little bare. In other words, I've been working with a simple sentence above, but if we look at the one before, the dog who was black carried the goose, if we stripped it down to the dog carried, we would know that those two sound right together. The dog is the subject doing the carrying of the goose, so we can put them together and notice that they are correct in that manner. Compound subjects and compound verbs present exciting potential to the independent clause. Compound means multiple, so if you have a compound subject, you have multiple subjects for one verb. Compound verb means you have multiple verbs for one subject, and you could have both in one sentence. We could say the dog and the cat walked down the hallway. Compound verb be the dog walked and panted in the hallway. Compound subject and verb, the dog and the cat ran and frolicked in the hallway. Compound sentences are multiple independent clauses attached with either, there's 2 main and simple ways they are formed, either with a semicolon, and then that's all you need, and the first letter to come after the semicolon is lowercase. So the dog panted, semicolon. The dog was tired. Combining the other way. The other way is with a comma and a fan voice conjunction, and then I have them listed there in the underlining: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So we could say the dog panted, but the dog was not tired. So that's another compound sentence. All right. Most important rule to check whether you're right about what you think is the subject and verb in a sentence: strip away everything else, push the supposed subject and verb together, and check if they make sense, if they're conjugated correctly, and if the subject is actually the thing doing the action of the verb. All right, so here's some basic practice. So at this point in the video, I would slowly go through and let the students, and pause after each one, and let the students check whether they can get them right. And then the next part of the video, then we'd work with some real literature practice, which I've grouped into easier sentences and harder sentences. Some of them are really pretty challenging, especially this one. And upon my word, I do not think Mr. Knightley would be much disturbed by Mrs. Bates. This one's also pretty tricky because we have the subject, the evening, and then we don't get to the verb until brought. So I'd expect these to be more challenging, and I'd talk through why they were challenging and how they were, why the correct answers are what they are. And then I would end with this homework practice. So an 8-sentence story. Write a real or imaginative account of something that happened to you. Use at least 1 compound subject, 1 compound verb, 1 compound sentence. Keep it to exactly 8 sentences. When you finish, check to make sure each of your sentences has an independent clause in it and is grammatically correct. Underline all your subjects and verbs in independent clauses within each sentence of your story. And then I'd remind them to use the strip away everything else rule to make sure what they've found as the subject and verb are actually the subject and verb. Yes, so that's my example of a grammar video I would give to students. To remind you of my the reasons I enjoy online learning is it really can simplify the job of the teacher. It can help the experience of the student. It can offer extra practice for a review. and it really frees up time in the classroom for more work, more useful work to be done, and it also can increase the quality of homework. Um, Thanks for listening.